Hello, it's the line, 10th of April, call from the line, Bob calling in. No Matt Dillahunty this week. We've got Skeptics and Scoundrels and Jimmy Snow. So yeah, Bob is a Muslim calling in from the UK, and he's called in really to ask why the hosts are atheists. And he actually asked quite an interesting question, or put it a way I've never really heard before. He asked Jimmy, can you give me examples of evidence that you didn't find compelling and why? Which I thought was quite a good way of putting it. Jimmy's answered very well. I'm just going to I'm just going to come into the video now, concluding on his answer, effectively saying that we don't know. For example, the claim something couldn't have come from nothing, therefore a God must exist to have started it all off. And Jimmy's response is, well, we don't know. We don't know there ever was a nothing, and we just don't know. And therefore, no reason, no good reason to believe in a God until it's been demonstrated, because we just don't know about the circumstances which brought everything into existence, if indeed if that's what happened. So let's go ahead and listen to the end of what Jimmy says and then continue.
So when I'm faced with, I believe in God because I don't believe something can come from nothing. Those are my reasons where I go, nope, that's not good enough for me to say I believe in God. I would stick with the clearly we don't know the answer to many questions, and making up an answer is not adequate for me. I want either the actual answer or to continue to say I don't know until I do.
I mean, come on, like there must be something, a force that will exist for us to exist in this world. We cannot come out.
No, I don't know that. Excuse me.
Yeah, and we heard in several times, amazing call-in show this, because from at least 3 callers, we heard the phrase, there must have been, or there had to have been something that started it all off. People are just refusing to accept that we don't know, and there might not necessarily have had to have been or must have been something that started it all off, and to leave it open until we've got more information. People are just incredulous. There had to have been something that started all this, and I think it comes from ignorance. They really just haven't studied the science. They don't know what the latest is on the research, that there may not have been, never have been truly a nothing. We just don't know enough about how it all started, whether it started or what. We just don't know. So let's wait until we've got the evidence. And this caller is not prepared to accept that position.
This world without
Excuse me. Excuse me. I don't know that. As far as I know how I came into the world, my parents had sex. I know how they came into the world. Their parents had sex. I know how their parents came into the world. Their parents had sex. I even know some amount of how that entire lineage went, even to the points where sex wasn't involved anymore, while I may not know all the individual actors. But whether or not there has to be some divine greater thing, you sitting there and going, come on, there had to be some greater.
Yeah, this come on, it's not a rational appeal. It's an emotional one, because there's no rational case. And when there's no rational case, all you're left with is emotion, appeals to incredulity and some kind of shared wonder about the whole of existence, and that there must have been something. Come on, join me in my incredulity. It's an appeal out of emotion.
Force. I have yet to see that there has to be anything greater than a natural explanation. And I certainly have not seen that there has to be a thinking mind who interacts with humanity, who dishes out blessings and curses. I have yet to see any evidence of that.
Well, you're not going to see God, because Allah, as a Muslim, we believe God does not expose himself to people. And because
yes, very conveniently so. God hides, but punishes you if you cannot find him.
And I've heard Christians saying that if God appeared to you, you would die. I've actually heard on previous shows, some have claimed that. I think that Matt in one show asked, could God not appear to me? And a Christian said yes, but in appearing to you, you would immediately die. I don't know where he got that from. But so this Muslim is saying that this is not something that Allah does. God does not appear to people. And that's a very, very good kind of protective mechanism for the religion against skeptics who are saying, where is God? We can't see God. God is not appearing to anybody. So there's no reason to believe in God. Yeah, but if you've got a religion where that doesn't happen, then that's okay.
It's a very convenient belief.
Well, because we Muslims believe before God created us, he actually summoned all of us and asked us, am I not your Lord? And all of us agreed to this condition for us to come to this world. So you cannot reject that idea that you've had an agreement with God.
Okay, let's just hear how Jimmy responds to that anyway.
The condition between you and him. You didn't come to this world.
I absolutely can deny that. I absolutely can deny that because I have zero proof other than your assertion through your Desert Pedophiles book that ever happened.
Oh, come on. Don't start like abusing. Come on. Let's be civilized, please. Yeah, come on.
Oh, I am civilized. So, yeah. I treat religions that were started by pedophiles with the exact amount of respect they deserve.
Can you believe that he appeals to, well, let's be civilized and look at how women are treated in Islam. Look at how they're covered up in burqas in this blazing hot, sweltering weather. They've got to wear them all day long out in the hot streets, and they're denied proper access to education, proper rights. And he's talking about let's be civilized, and he's defending his prophet Muhammad, who I understand married a child and consummated a relationship with a child, and he's got the cheek to say let's be civilized. Can you believe that?
That is civil.
Well, I disagree with you here. Anyway, you said like
he just dodged the pedophile slur, didn't he? He was going to rebut it, and then he just decided to move on.
Basically, like
Muslims always want to move off of that topic as quick as possible.
No. I mean, no. We can talk about that if you want, but that's not my question. My question is here: why don't he believe in God? If you want, we can talk about the Prophet Muhammad, who peace with, marrying Aisha. It's not a problem, but this is a different topic here because I approached you. You know, let's be fair, please. Yeah. We can talk about that if you want.
Go whichever direction you want. Go with whichever direction you want. I absolutely deny your proposition that we had a meeting with God because I have zero evidence for it. Period. There is zero evidence that happened.
Just because you don't have evidence, just because you don't have evidence of it doesn't mean it didn't happen, right?
Correct. But until I have evidence of it.
And here we go again. Another common theist ploy, switching the burden of proof. Well, you can't prove that God doesn't exist. Just because there's no evidence for it doesn't mean that it didn't happen. This is their epistemological standard. You've got to disprove their religion. Otherwise, they're going to go ahead and believe in it. And not only that, they're going to prioritize the religion they've got a bias for over other religions, which also cannot be disproven.
I withhold belief in it. And there is yet to be any demonstration that what you just described was even possible. So I don't even hold a belief that it is possible yet that happened. And I go on living my life as though it didn't happen the way we always do with things we don't have evidence for.
Yeah. Hey, Bob, if a proposition, hey, Bob, if a proposition is presented, a proposition is presented with no evidence, is the person that's hearing the proposition justified in not believing it?
No, it's not justified. Let me tell you why.
I'm sorry? So, Bob, I have a magical fairy in the backyard in my tree. Bob, I have a magical fairy in the backyard that lives in my tree. It's invisible and intangible, and you can't talk to it. Do you believe me?
If there's testimony, yes, I would believe you.
But you have my testimony right here. I'm testifying to you right now that I just gave it to you. My claim is my testimony.
And also, I'm not.
Also, what other bullshit of what you just said? If there's
that's a shame, because Eric actually put forward a really good example there of a claim with testimony. In other words, a claim with some kind of evidence, and do you believe it? And he said, well, yeah, if there's testimony. Unfortunately, Jimmy jumped in. I'm not sure if they're going to come back to that, but I really hope that they do, because I'd be very surprised if he does actually accept that. He probably would not accept Eric's testimony, even though Eric is an eyewitness to his own experience. I know it's just a thought experiment, but it's a pretty good one.
Hang on.
Okay. Why aren't you a Mormon?
Let me finish my point, please. Come on, let me finish my point.
I don't care for your point, because I already know where I was going. Come on, why aren't you a Mormon?
No, it's a shame, because he wanted to finish off responding to Eric, and I think that went wrong. Okay, we're going to move on. I can't let this video go more than 15 minutes. We're going to move on to the last few minutes of the call to see what happens. Okay, the concluding moments of the call. So Jimmy is asking the big question: how do we know if it's true?
Your defense was, just because you don't remember it doesn't mean it didn't happen. We're not asking that question. We're asking how you know it did happen.
Because I've got it from a testimony. You understand what I'm saying?
From what testimony?
Hello?
Hello?
From the Quran, from the Prophet Muhammad, whom peace be with.
This is it, really, isn't it? Yes, the testimony, Eric's testimony, probably would not have been satisfactory, even though he's a living testimonial to his own experience. You can't talk to Muhammad. All you've got is testimony in a book, but he believes it. He believes that testimony, which is what, is 1800 years old or something, written down in a book. But he won't believe a fanciful claim from Eric, and even though he can actually speak to Eric and question him. So he's prioritizing his confirmation bias. He's going with the testimony that he favors.
Okay, how do you know the Prophet Muhammad was telling the truth?
Because if you look at the Prophet Muhammad, whom peace be with, yeah, the Quran, it's the sayings in it, yeah, it's the Quran challenges people to create a book like it, all right? And there's prophecies in there that actually comes true. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, so far you're giving the exact same evidence. So far you're giving the exact same testimony that Mormons give for the Book of Mormon, that Christians give for the Bible. So how do you know when those...
Well, I think that the right question there would be, can you give an example of a prophecy, and how do you know it came true? So that is where he's stated his evidence. There are prophecies in the Quran. They've come true. That's what he's pinning his belief in God. That's why he believes Muhammad's testimony. So the question is, what are the prophecies and how do you know they came true? Unfortunately, I don't think this question is going to be asked.
3 books can't all be true at the same time. How do you know that yours is true and theirs is false? We're back to the why aren't you a Mormon? Because what you just said doesn't prove anything. It's how all religions with holy books are based on.
Right. It does prove it, because if you look at the Bible, there's actually contradictions there. There's false prophecies there.
The Quran thinks that the Quran thinks that sperm comes from the fucking spine. And the exact same type of apologetics that you would do to go, no, well, what it technically means, because there's an element of this and this, the same type of apologetics you would do to say, no, that's not what it literally meant. And it's completely wrong. And by the way, it's completely wrong about a whole lot more. Aaron Ra has done a whole series on contradictions in the Quran. What you do to defend those wrong statements is called apologetics. It's what Christians do for their book and what Mormons do for theirs. And so they'll look at yours and go, the Quran is obviously wrong because it thinks this thing about sperm. And then you'll look at theirs and go, well, the Bible is obviously wrong because look at all these contradictions about the life of Jesus. And then the Mormons just smile and be stupid. They don't really add much to the whole thing. Their apologetics are even lesser.
Are you going to allow me to? Are you going to allow?
You know what? No, I'm not, Bob. No, I'm not. See you, bud. No, I literally hung up on you because I was.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's about it. And as I've said many, many times before in many videos, when callers start saying, "Can I speak now?" will you allow me to speak, etc., etc., etc. It's because they've presented so many fallacious points and they've been knocked back on every single occasion, and they really just run out of anything to say now. It's all just claims and claims and claims, which are unsupported, or at least they're not supported by any real evidence, anything which is really rational. It's all about confirmation bias and what people want to believe and what flavor of religion that they personally prioritize. Because as Jimmy said, Christians say the same thing about the Muslim Holy Book that Muslims say about the Christian Holy Book, and the Jews, etc., and all the other religions, they're all debunking each other. As has so often been said so many times, they can't all be right, but they might just all be wrong. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.